Hi, my name is Alyssa and today we're going to be making Lucy's diaper. What you're going to need is cotton fabric, 3/4 inch elastic, scrap lightweight interfacing, a measuring tape, and basic sewing supplies. So to start off, what I did was I took a measurement of around her waist where I wanted the diaper to lay, and this is to make the pattern. And then I took a measurement of her leg circumference, and I transferred that to some brown pattern paper. So the next step of what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pin down my pattern and make sure everything is nice and flat. After that, we'll take a Sharpie. I'm going to use a Sharpie because none of the seams are going to be visible and the Sharpie isn't going to interfere with it. But if it makes you more comfortable, then all you have to do is just use like a fabric pen or a color pencil. I just used the Sharpie because it was just there. It was available. So we're going to take whatever utensil you're going to use to mark out your pattern and just carefully mark around the whole pattern. For reference, on the little tabs on the side, I actually used a 3-inch wide gap just so that there was enough room for me to roll the hem down and also to roll the leg circumference up. And so there would be a little bit more leeway. On my mock-up, it did turn out to where there was like a big piece of fabric right there, and I thought that that looked comfy for her. However, on the finished product, it is a little bit thinner, but I have found that the thinner one actually stays on a little bit better. Alright, now let's move on to cutting. So first I'm going to pin my fabric just so that it doesn't slip or shift while I'm cutting it, and we can get an accurate cut like this. And once it's all pinned, then we can get our scissors and we can just start cutting it up. So whenever you're finished, you should have a shape that looks like this. It's kind of like an arch or a bridge kind of shape. So then we're going to move on to elastic. So for the elastic, you're going to want to take the measurement that you took for your waist and your leg circumference, and you're going to want to take a few inches off of that so that it will have a snug fit. Also, you're going to want to cut 2 of the same size for the legs and then just 1 for the waist. Lucy's ended up being 19 for the waist and 21 for her legs. So let's get into hemming. So where you can see at the leg circumference, I have it says roll twice. So you're going to go ahead and roll it the first time just a finger's width. So we're doing a rolled hem here. And you're going to stitch that down, and then you're going to go back and do another roll that is a finger width wide or wide enough for your elastic to fit through. Then on the top ones only, we are only going to roll them once because later on we'll do the second roll so that we can make a casing for our elastic. I hope I explained that good enough. Alright, so whenever you're finished, you're going to have something that looks similar to this. And then we're going to mark our tail hole. So what I did is I took a measurement from the waist line to the tail, and that was 8 inches for Lucy. And I just marked that on my fabric and then drew a circle around it Then I'm going to cut it out using scissors. We're not heathens. So I'm just going to cut it out like they taught you to do in preschool. And I didn't think that was interesting enough, so I literally skipped through the whole thing. And there you go. Now you have a tail hole. Yes, that is a hole. Why do you keep showing it? So then we're going to take our interfacing and we're going to put it underneath our tail hole and mark out the circle of the tail hole. And we're going to do the same thing with the interfacing, except one more step. We're going to add about 1 inch to 2 inch around the circle that we have drawn. And this is going to be for our interfacing so that none of the edges are raw, even the tail hole. Because once again, we are not heathens. I'm going to cut it out like a preschooler. Ooh, so many turns. That was actually very difficult. It's things like this that challenge my brain. And then I'm going to cut out the outside circle as well. So one side is rough and one side is soft. The rough side is going to be your glue side. Place your pretty fabric onto it with the ugly part of the fabric onto the glue side. And you're going to iron that. It should have instructions on the packaging of the interfacing. Once again, we're going to pull out our arts and crafts scissors and we're going to cut them out. Now for the outside, you're going to use pinking shears, or you can use a zigzag stitch around the circle, but I just use pinking shears because it finishes off that edge and I don't have to worry about it fraying in the future. Also, I like to believe that the glue on the interfacing helps with that problem as well. These diapers are washable and reusable, and I have washed them plenty of times and they are still sturdy. So right here, I'm just lining up the hole from my interfacing to the hole on my fabric, and I'm going to sew 1/4 inch away from the side, the inner side. I should be more specific. So you're just going to circle around the whole circle until it is all the way stitched. I ended up clipping my seam on this one, or clipping my corners rather, and you're going to turn it to the inside of the diaper, and then you're going to make sure everything is flush and everything just lays flat with the tail hole interfacing. Once again, I should be more specific. So then I pin that down, and then I'm going to sew around, doing a top stitch to the interfacing and the fabric of the diaper, just to make sure that it lays flat and it won't go anywhere. And this also encases the seams on the inside, and if you were a little bit off, like I've been before, then it is extra durable so that your seams don't come apart. But let's not tell anybody about that. So this is how your diaper is going to end up looking. Now I have these homemade tags, and I just place it underneath where I think that the casing is going to lay for the top. I place it there so that I know exactly which side is the back side and which side is the front side for the diaper. And what I'm going to do is just roll down that fabric again with a finger roll and see exactly where that lands. Then I'm going to sew down my tag. And next step is elastic, finally. Thought we were never going to get to the elastic. I wish that this went as fast as it did in this video for like real life. Because if so, like I could be whipping up diapers. So whenever it comes to threading elastic, I've always used the safety pin method. You're going to need 2 safety pins in your elastic, otherwise it's kind of redundant. And you're going to take the safety pin, put it at one end of the elastic, and then place the other one at the other end. Then you're just going to thread that pin through your hole and just work it all the way around until you come to the other side. Make sure to not lose the other end, because if so, then you got to start all over again. So apparently I skipped the rest of the steps. The first elastic that you're going to do is the leg circumference, and you're going to do that to both sides. Then you're going to do a French seam. So after your French seam is done, the next step to do is to roll the top hem. Now at this point, it's just going to be a giant circle, and you're just going to go around evenly distributing your hem. So I actually used pins to do this. Whenever I was pinning it down, I kept in mind that at the French hems, I'm not going to sew that down on the first go. I'm going to leave the sides open, and well, because they are so thick. So I went back and actually hand cranked those sides down just to make sure that they were actually closed. Also, this will help because you needed a side open anyways to thread your elastic through. Once your casing is stitched down as close to the edge as you can get it, then you're going to thread through your elastic, and once the elastic is threaded through, you're going to pull out the two ends that the safety pins are attached to, and you're going to sew them together. Then you are going to stretch out your diaper to make sure that they all the gathers are where you want them to be. Next, you're going to have to sew up those open French seams. So you're going to take the side of the French seam and stretch out the elastic and the fabric to make it lay flat. Then you're going to sew it, but for my machine it had a hard time going through, so I moved the dial on my own. So just take it slow, do not put strain on your needle, it's not worth it. But after that, your diaper is complete, and here's some photos and a video of Lucy modeling the diaper. And I really hope you enjoyed this video. I can't wait to make more videos for y'all. Oh, I almost forgot. So what you might be thinking is, how is a cotton diaper going to be absorbent enough to handle what my dog or cat has to throw at it? So the way I got around that is I just took an oversized night pad and I cut it in half, one to save money and two because you don't need the whole pad to go in there. And I stuck it on the long side of the diaper instead of the short side, which is the back side. So I stuck it on the long side of the diaper and I just put it in there. It's that simple. And that is exactly how your diaper will be absorbent instead of just cotton. So I hope you really enjoyed this tutorial. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And as promised, here are the pictures and videos of Lucy. Bye!